Yeah, this is the best. This is the best.
Not even close. I mean, insane. It's almost worst for me.
Personal favorite.
Worst, least favorite. Easy. Yeah.
Y'all just leave me alone. This is my least favorite.
Best personal favorite.
At the end of the day, music is supposed to make you feel things, and this album made me feel awful.
All these albums made me feel so good. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. That's a whole discography per episode. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined as always by my festive co-host, Alexander Volts. Say hello.
Hello.
And today we will be discussing every album by
the notorious Donkey Kong villain, King Krule.
King Krule, indeed. This was requested by our buddy on Patreon, Anton, who's been a longtime supporter. Love this guy. He's got amazing taste in music. He's a great musician. He's like all his projects are wildly different. He does metal amazing. He does weird garage rock shit amazing. I think his band put out a new EP this year. And he's from Finland, so I can't pronounce shit that he does. I think his current project is Capit Lapset. I have no idea how to pronounce that.
That sounds too French for me.
It's definitely not French, but Kipeetlapse. Anton, leave a comment with your fucking plugs and shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, he requested this because he's requested stuff in the past that's like a little bit more, our what we usually cover, like Hot Snakes and stuff like that. And Hot Snakes rules, by the way. And then he requested King Krule at some point. And I don't know what this is. I have no idea what to expect. I don't feel like I would have sought this out on my own. I feel like if someone showed me this or showed me a couple songs, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, and just sort of brush right past it. And having to sit down with all these albums, I think was a very, 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 it was the only way that I could have gotten into this artist. What do you think after having heard all these albums?
I'm not happy.
I had it, dude, while I was listening to all these albums, I was going like, I have no idea which way Alex, so he could either be into it for this and this reason or not into it. You don't like him.
It started off fine. It was like at a level where I'm like, okay, this isn't 100% for me, but it's like, it's something different. And then Mr. King gets settled in his ways, and it lost me. We did D'Angelo recently. We talked about Dilla Time, that loose, spacey time. This is like Dilla Time on morphine.
Yes.
This is.
Yes. I happen to quite love it. I fucking really like it. I'm bummed out you don't like it, because I felt that, the exact opposite is you. I started out worried. I'm like, oh fuck. And then
we're gonna have opposite picks.
And then when he settled in, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a straight up fan now by the end of it. This is a thing where, I would never have sought this out on paper. Don't like anything about it. I maybe might appreciate it from afar. And if you showed me a few things, I would get one idea, not having, I think, a fair representation, because one album can do many different things. This is a very unusual artist.
I did listen to a few songs from Space Heavy last year because I confused him with King Dude, who is a little more darker. I mean, this is dark. This is depressing.
Yeah.
Like, I hope his fans and himself are okay.
I don't know that they are. I don't. Yeah. Honestly.
As someone who listens to angry, abrasive music, like multiple times throughout this discography, I was like, is everyone okay? Do you need wellness checks?
It's depressing, but I didn't find. Right. I tend to be very uplifted by depressing music, but this didn't strike me as that depressing. So one huge thing that I noted pretty early on, and just by the end of it, I was cemented this opinion that if you're not in the mood for this, you are going to be bored. This is like some of the moodiest music I have ever heard. And that's really saying something.
That's an excellent way to put it, because I was never in the mood for this. Getting over a cold, like this. It went from like, okay, this is like chill music where it seems like enjoyable for me to fall asleep to I could fall asleep to this, but now I mean it in like a derogatory way.
I just happened to be in the right mood for it when it first started. And then as the albums went on, the environment that I set up for and it wasn't intentional. I didn't like intentionally set up my listening environment to be extra chill. It just happened to happen that way, where I like my when I listen to music, I have everything really dark and dim. I have fucking nightlight on my PC. I have everything in dark mode. Everything is just as calm and relaxing as it could possibly be. And it just so happened that I was really in the mood for this shit. I was so in the mood for it. So when I went back for all my second listens, I was just like, fuck yeah, dude, this rules.
It's appropriate for wintertime if you're not suicidal. So
also another thing, because yes, indeed, appropriate for wintertime. I've only heard of a few. I tried Googling it. I don't know how common this is. I have the opposite of with the seasonal depression, where I'm depressed as shit in the summer and I get way happier in winter. And it's a thing that I felt my whole life, but didn't really put together until like 10 years ago. Like, wait a minute, my moods are drastically different in winter. They're severe. They're significantly better. So depressing, calm, cold music in winter is like, finally, I can just relax a little bit.
I used to be that way because I don't like sweating, so I don't like the summer. And I feel like you can't do anything until it's like nighttime. And then I felt like liberated in the winter, but now my brain's extra stupid. Like much like you, I felt like liberated in the winter, but now my brain's stupider and it's like, hey, we're depressed for some reason. So getting older is interesting.
Certainly,
but I digress. I digress.
It's okay. We're all just a little closer to death, and that's a good thing. But yeah, so this guy, I mean, King Krule, it's the stage name, it's the project name of Archy Ivan Marshall, who's from Southwark, London. And
he's the anti Ed Sheeran. These ginger fucks.
He's a ginger fuck for sure. So from a glancing maybe overview of like the whole project, it's like, imagine, so King Krule, elevator pitch. It's the dreamiest music you've ever heard with Sid Vicious singing on top of it.
I also noted that at one point. I put millennial ass Sid Vicious here.
Yeah.
I think also maybe getting a little ahead. I think that's another reason he gets a little less snarly as we do when we get older. We get a little less, except for you and me, more you than me. But yeah, most people get less snarly the older they get, and so
he's the most snarly on the first album, and it's the most, I would say, off-putting because that's like, you hear that and it's such a specific choice. You hear this vocal style and I hear that, I'm like, fuck, this is this guy's thing. It's gonna work for some people. It's not gonna work for others. I don't like it. And then I was very surprised to hear, like, very quickly, he immediately kind of like reins it in. And he's not nearly as Sid Vicious-y.
I love some bruvs. Some bruvs will like cheer me up proper, as they say.
Yep.
I kind of like more like off-putting, very like British rappers, like a Dizzy Rascal.
Yeah,
Slow Tie is more recent.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about in like past year in episodes with like the heavy accented British rapping and stuff. That's definitely like you take it or leave it. You like it or you don't.
That's more specific. But yeah, when I hear like this voice, I want to start saying things like in it
for sure. So we got some notes here from our boy Tom Osman, who you should all go support and follow. And there's 2 interviews, one from Paste in 2023, and then one from Guardian in 2013. So you see this guy, this old Archy, which is the most. If you take one look at the guy, that's Archy. I mean, he is 100% an Archy.
He's an Archy or he's a Ron for sure.
I did just finish listening to all the Harry Potter books. That's a Ron for sure.
Yeah.
So this piece from Guardian says Archy grew up shuttling between his mom's house in East Dulwich and his dad's flat in Peckham. Man, so English already.
I was gonna say that's already the most British shit I've ever heard.
It's definitely the most British shit we ever read on the pod. I mean, holy crap! I feel like an asshole. Continuing,
I don't.
He describes the former as a working class environment, the latter as more middle class. My dad was fucking strict, he says with a smile. He wouldn't let me swear, but my mom wouldn't let me do anything. Dad was more brown rice. He says he went through a lot of fucking weird shit when he was young, most of which he insists his dad has no idea about. At the age of 13, after refusing to go to school, he was first given a home tutor, then sent to 2 education centers for permanently excluded kids, which he has since described as like being, quote, thrown into the lion's den. Dude.
The term permanently excluded, which I've never heard before,
it's so harsh.
Sounds so harsh.
It's so
to put
mean
on a child.
It's so mean while being so like proper and formal. It's like the meanest shit you could say to someone while also still being polite somehow.
Which feels very, very British.
Very British. I totally get that too. Like, I mean, growing up, I was really bad at going to school. I resonated a lot with some of the stuff that he says here with like, I mean, I at one point being homeschooled and everything and that not working out. I mean, many times, honestly, but going on, it says, meanwhile, he was getting tested for various types of mental illness at London's Maudsley Hospital. That really took a toll on me. It was then I decided not to give a shit about the establishment because a lot of the time, the doctors and the psychiatrists and the counselors and my social workers were plain wrong. Basically, I hated everyone. Social services threatened Archy's parents with prison terms if they couldn't get him to school, but still he refused to go. His mom would have to call in his dad, who'd physically pull him out of the house and take him there. Eventually, though, Archy's love of music provided an escape. Dude, this kid is fucking permanently excluded for sure.
That is such I've talked to people about this recently. This is such a like weird thing. I thought it was just in the States, but I guess it's in the UK. Like, if your kid is not in school, and even though it could be for reasons beyond your control, we will like arrest the parents.
Yes, I got threatened with this all the time growing up. All the time. My mom got threatened with it because of me, dude. and I remember it was high school because it happened from fucking kindergarten on. I have you and I both get migraines, but I also fucking hated school. So it was a combination of I'm sick all the time. Also, I hate this more than anything. So I was never at school. And then so high school. This is my life story now. At high school, I'm always in the fucking dean's office, for never showing up, and they're always. And then they started threatening me. Their threat was, "Oh, you don't want to be like Felix? Like, who the fuck is Felix? Oh, you don't know Felix? I thought you were friends with Felix. He has long hair too." I'm like, "Go fuck yourself, lady." But Felix was this kid who straight up, that he was like the example of like, well, we I don't know if they actually arrested his parents, but like it got serious. It got like really, because he just never showed up.
Fuck.
Fast forward maybe 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. I end up meeting Felix completely randomly from a different group of friends. Super nice guy.
I bet he was.
Super cool dude.
He was.
Yeah.
I bet he was. Yeah. So much of the like stress from school and like migraines in high school was like these like threats that ranged from like the most extreme being we're going to arrest your mom to like whatever frivolous bullshit. It's not right. It's not right to put on a child. And I realize you're almost an adult, but yeah, that's another podcast.
Dude, it's wild shit. But basically, I wasn't quite as permanently excluded, but I appreciate where it's coming from. I definitely understood that the sheer guttural hatred of school.
I mean, also as a teenager, it's harder to address your mental health, because I remember going to a few like therapists, and like I was like, I don't want to talk to a stranger about my demons,
it feels gay.
Innermost darkest thoughts. Like, so I get it's just like I don't know what to do with teenage boys. Like,
dude, it was such a like a weird repulsive thing, because it was in middle school when this thing happened to me, where the same reason, never showing up, so they automatically assumed, oh, he's getting beat at home, which I was, but it was not the reason I wasn't going to school. So they put me in this group of like disturbed kids. It was like the format of an AA kind of meeting, where we met with this, she was my homeroom teacher at the time, and we in this small room with other troubled students, and we sat in a circle, and like, is there anything you want to share? I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I here? They pulled me out of class to be in this little fucking group. And it's like, you're making me so uncomfortable. This is like the least safe environment to start talking about my shit here.
Absolutely. And like the other thing, if you have like a learning disability or other things like the kids in your group are dealing with, like, you already feel like there's something wrong with you, like you're already like broken and you don't belong, and then they like pull you out, which makes a way bigger scene than they think it does.
Yeah.
And they like separate you, and you feel more alien and more secluded. I wasn't expecting to talk about these things today, but
I felt it from this dude. Yeah, for sure. And I felt it from this dude's music. Like reading a little bit about this while listening to the album, I'm like, oh yeah, oh I get it, dude. I feel that shit. Yeah, it reeks of growing up in a major city. That's just what it is. I mean, because LA, where we grew up, and where you still are. Yeah, I mean, it's like in the top, I don't want to, like top 5 worst districts in the country. Like it's seriously bad. I learned nothing. I learned absolutely nothing.
I mean, I learned how to read. I learned something, because something is better than nothing. Like,
yeah, something's better than nothing, but they're always like, I get like my lady friend bringing up things. Oh, didn't they teach you this in school? Like, fucking nope. It's like a lot of stuff that just whiz right by. Maybe because I wasn't there. I don't know. That, they want to get into semantics.
And we're both products of the No Child Left Behind era too. So that shows you how successful that initiative was.
A lot of them got forgotten. That's for sure. So many left behind.
So many. Yeah.
Anyway, continuing with this little piece, it says, during bouts of insomnia, he recalls lying awake deep into the night, listening to Pixies and the Libertines through his grandmother's big Sennheiser headphones. That was when I began to think about creating soundscapes, he explains. He won a place at the Brit School, and although he struggled with the discipline at first, he began to love the place. It's a really good school, and I learned a lot. A teacher called Derek Moore taught me to love history and sociology, and that all really helped me out. I know my story sounds terrible, but I wouldn't change anything in my life because it all helped to formulate what I feel now is a very strong mind.
Good for him. I would change a lot.
I'll change most of 89%. One thing I think
at least
is kind of sweet is that you see on the albums a lot of collaboration with what seems to be family members, like his brothers. At least one of them is his brother. Another one could just possibly be his same last name, or it might just also be his brother. Like the art for one of the albums, which I think, like, yeah, when you retain the connection with family members after a upbringing like that, good sign. You made it out okay. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, he's a successful, depressing musician. yeah, like.
Well, I mean, like, because you can be a successful.
Oh, I get what you mean.
You can be successful, like, monetarily or with whatever your career is, but then have a, just a wrecked interpersonal social life and all that. But anyway, we are covering, because this guy is still very much active. Altogether, 5 albums today. First one came out in 2013, and most recently, 2023, last year. You said you accidentally listened to some of that album thinking it was someone else. I, of course, didn't hear any of it, missed it completely. And
also I loved the name and the artwork, space heavy, the images I conjured up, and
oh man,
just
I can't believe you don't like it. It sucks. It sucks. Oh,
I wish I did, but yeah, I don't know. This makes sense because I have questions, so maybe you can answer them.
Maybe, yeah. I will say that if you're a fan of the dreamiest, this is the dreamiest music I've possibly ever heard. It is so dreamy that if that tickles your box like a little bit, you could find a place. I think you could find a place for this because it does something. This guy is a fucking crazy producer, or at least him and his collaborators, because some wild choices here. But let's get into it if you are ready.
I am ready.
Hell yes. This is 2013's 6 Feet Beneath the Moon.
Same old Bobby, same old Pete.
I love it.
His voice is so loud.
Yeah, they got nothing on me.
Man, he does a lot of
same old cars, same old streets.
So it's like a indie riff with a solo clean guitar and crazy English vocals.
And that's his whole, not his whole thing, but most of his thing is how minimal it is.
It's minimal while also having a very textural mix.
There's
not
always
this album, later on, but not here. This is way more stripped down, way more minimal.
And when I use minimal, it doesn't mean that it's technical or that it's not technical.
So this just really feels like an indie song that's been stripped apart. It's kind of nice. I like the song. I don't like his voice. Definitely don't like his voice.
This is the best he sounds.
You're out of your fucking mind. You're so crazy. Still no drums. There's no need to take that toll. So there's no good one song representation. Even the openers on each of these albums are going to be so misleading for the albums.
I would agree with that. And also King Krule fans, just ignore my picks. My picks don't matter. They're nonsense. They're not canon. I have some idea how his albums are perceived, but I'm just doing me, baby. This is the best. This
fucking
is the best.
Not even close. I mean, insane. It's almost worst for me.
This was the most fun I had.
This one had me worried. I liked it. I appreciate it. By the end of it, I was like, this is a good album. It's not my thing. It's a very specific thing. He's probably going to lean into this a lot. I'm not excited about it, but it is a good album. There's a lot of highs, a lot of things I don't like, but whatever. Fuck it. I found myself across the board, every album, enjoying everything way more on second listen.
Okay. Yeah, this, I didn't love that opening song. It didn't ring any alarm bells either. And then it's it gets going a little bit. I like Borderline. I didn't realize, that's it's kind of his signature sound, this weird, surreal lounge music with a British man stumbling his way around.
Yeah, a lot of jazz lounge, tropical, really, I don't know what music, elevator music, like bossa nova kind of stuff. That kind of I don't even want to say foundation because it like he's playing things in that style, but it ends up becoming really twisted and warped and incorrect, quote unquote incorrect. He plays a lot of wrong notes. Here though, I think is like the most straightforward. This is like the most indie. This is the most, I mean, it still has like a lot of trip hop rhythms all over here, which the first 2 albums are going to be by the way, I fucking should have mentioned it up top. We're covering 5 albums. Technically, there are only 4 King Krule albums. One of them is under his name, Archy Marshall, and we're going to be covering that as well. So there we go. Sorry. Continuing.
Yeah, going to that, you get a taste of that trip hop for the first time with 4 and 2. Just bruvs hanging out in space.
Yep. It's nighttime driving, trip hop, chill. It's one that I didn't care much for, and then I liked it more on second listen. Yeah, this is it, like many of these albums, very vibey. If you want to, you got to be in the mood. You got to be in the mood.
There's a lot of stuff on here and the next album for me where it's like ultimate, like relaxing hangout music, or, you know, if you want study music, like it just feel like it hits the right things for me where I'm not like bored to tears, but it's also passive enough where I can like have it on in the background and relax a little bit. Well, if you don't find his vocals
on this album, yeah, his vocals are the most impossible to ignore because he's mixed so loudly here. I mean, that's my
he is.
Yeah, like I can get over his choices because I mean they make me laugh at times, but I don't hate it. It's just so loud. And there's certain times, even on like what I feel like the really good produced albums, even on those albums, there's a couple songs where he's just way louder than everything. It's like, fucking why?
I do agree with you. Like after this one, I feel like he, you know, gets lower in the mix on future albums for sure.
Definitely.
That song Baby Blue is this like weird soulful tropical vibe to it, but it also this feels like you're like hanging out at like an open mic night where everyone going up is interesting. You may not like exactly what they're doing, but they're at least interesting. You can respect where they're coming from, and that kind of like summarizes my general feelings about this like debut album from him.
That having done many open mics, this you're right. A lot of this album does have that, like this guy is just going up and he's doing his fucking thing, and that's how it would be mixed at open mic with the vocals way too loud and it like and you know it kind of I thought about it, I think at one point where like yeah if I saw this guy at open mic, I'd be like, holy shit, this guy is he's actually doing something interesting. This guy is actually doing something good. And it has a lot of rawness to it. It has a lot of like sincerity. And this is a very sincere album. And a lot of stuff hits harder than others. I still like, I have my recollection of it is always like, oh, it's fine. But listening to it, I do like it.
Yeah. Also, it's the most experimental in terms of like he's trying a lot of different things out on this album.
Oh, I disagree entirely. I think it was wild on other albums.
Well, like that, I don't mean like experimental and like
I know what you mean. Like in style of song. I know. That's why I think that with other albums.
Like there's the most variety here for sure. Like,
oh, I disagree 100%.
Mike,
give me some citations. What do you mean? How is this the most variety?
So like you have like his trademark sound. We talked about like the like trip hop songs. We got like a tropical song. Like Lizard State is kind of invoking like a 1950s rock and roll like jazz vibe, and he brings in horns and he's rapping, and it sounds awful on paper, but this motherfucker pulls it off somehow. Like it's one of my favorite songs on the album. And then like I love just kind of like having the lyrics in the background, and then at one point he just says like fucking fat bitches, and that made me laugh.
Yeah, That's right. Yeah. That is a good line. There's sax on most albums,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he implements saxes, I think, is fucking masterful. I think they're gorgeous. They're very noir, very noir. And I don't think he's on this album, but the guy, his go-to sax guy, is Ignacio Saladares. He's on
Mhm.
all the other ones, which is like whenever I hear the sax on the song, it fucking brings life into it. Even if I wasn't big on the song before, then it's something about the sax is the way this guy does it. But Lizard State, yeah, haunted house jazz with white boy rapping. It's like,
Yeah.
it like at first I was like, this is, it's not really my thing, but it's really pretty good. Like it everything just kind of comes together.
Like, it has no business being that good at all.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot on here that I do like.
And then I didn't realize it was going to carry out throughout his entire fucking career. Like, this bruv loves the ocean and water. Fucking loves it.
There's a lot of waterness, yes. Ocean bed.
Neptune Estate, the crocodile.
Yep.
Bathed in great, like, yeah, this is all on one album and will continue. And those are just titles.
Yeah, yeah. Ocean Bed, I think I fucking love Ocean Bed. It like at this point in the album, at that point in the album, when it comes on, I was already getting like, all right, I like it. There's some stuff I definitely don't like. I'm getting a little bored in areas. I'm kind of in and out. And it's late in the album, and it was enough to perk me back up. I can't say the same about Neptune Estate though.
Yeah, that one's a little long in tooth for me. I appreciate the like simple piano on that one. It's effective. I think out of the bunch, the water songs on here, the crocodile is
it's great.
That's the best one. It's thrown in space lasers for some reason. It's like
we're gonna need a lot of beep boops and lasers, man.
It's one of the like best like chill out songs on here. I mean, they all are. But.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but that one, some of the best bass lines and rhythms on there. It's a nice blending of strong bass and rhythm with that jazzy guitar. The jazz guitar thing, it's the jazziest sounding on this album, just because there's less other things happening. Because his tone is still very, fucking. I don't know if he's using it for a Strat, but it's a very jazzy guitar tone, and it's still that on all the other albums, but here is just there's things get louder when there's less things crowding. I learned recently that the reason you hear trains louder at night is because there's less noise pollution at night.
Oh, that makes sense. So this
blocking
cuts through.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean, where it feels more jazz. The guitars feel more jazzy only because there's less things to distract you in the mix. But yeah, this song's like Ceiling. I fucking love the progressions on that one as well. I hate the vocals on all these songs, but I think they're well done and well written, and they're pulled off pretty nicely.
I like Ceiling because that's the most drunk that's his most drunk song.
Very slurry. It's very slurry. I'm not too big, aside from Neptune and Steve, not too big on Will I Come. I find the samples that they use on that one spectacularly annoying.
That one, this kind of felt like he has lots of like 2-minute or under songs, and sometimes they feel like fleshed out songs. Sometimes this feel like little interludes, and that one felt more in the interlude camp to me.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Sentimentality has a little bit of darkness in there. There's moments where it's actually dark and kind of on the scarier side, and I tend to like those moments a lot because they're just infrequent. It's once in a while. All his darker songs seem to come in when you need them to. That's what that was ended up being some of my favorites. But yeah, this is still maybe not as much of a mood album as the others, but it's still a mood album and very fucking specific. If you don't like this guy's voice, it's going to turn a lot of people off. If you're not into this like indie jazzy kind of thing, I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, he gets I guess you just mean for this album, because
Yeah,
I think he does become more of a singer,
Yeah,
for a better word.
for
if
this
you want.
album.
Yeah. I felt like sometimes the album got a little repetitive for me, but I was like, I felt like he was on to something. I didn't realize where he was going, but
We didn't have differing perspectives at this point because after this album, I was like, all right, there's a lot of potential here. I have things I don't like, but this guy's got talent. He's got real interesting ideas. I wonder where he's going to go. He went in a way I liked. He went in a way you didn't like. That's just the way it goes.
zigged when he should have zagged.
I think he zagged correctly or zigged correctly, whatever. But Alex's best was the best personal favorite.
No, just best.
Just best.
Yeah.
Alex's best, and
I'm being generous here. Tis the season.
Tis this season. Fair enough. But before we move on, this piece from 2023. It's just kind of reflecting on this because it was the 10-year anniversary at the time. Going to that record, I thought I was going to blow up to a massive scale in terms of celebrity and fame, and it never really happened. He tells me.
Well, now you got two schmucks from America talking about your entire career. So,
well, hey, you've made it then. It goes on to say, it was quite a good learning experience. And, everyone feels like that when they release stuff, especially if it's lucky enough to be released on labels. As for how 6 Feet Beneath the Moon sounded back then, what with the instrumental explosiveness and his own guttural growls and snarls that became one of his many trademarks, Marshall attributes its compositional aesthetic to age and wanting to open the book of King Krule in a hurry. It was probably going to always stand out as one of the rawest pieces because it was when I was young, he says. All the songs, their purpose was really integral to why they were created. Now, naturally, I feel more about the audience and stuff when composing. Not too much, but I guess it just seeps in a different way. Yeah, it feels personal. It feels like a dude just singing his soul out for sure.
Going back to that open mic night thing.
Yep, indeed. But this next one is a much smaller album. This is the only album not under King Krule. It's under Archy Marshall. I believe it was like, it might have been recorded at home. I think he did some recording at home in someone's studio. And if I'm not misremembering, I think it was accompanied with, let me double check right here. It was accompanied by a book.
Poetry and artwork.
Yes. With
his older brother.
His older brother, Jack. There we go. Yeah. That's right. His older brother, Jack, did the artwork for, I think, the second to last album, if I'm not. We'll see. Yeah, it's one of those albums. Yeah, and then and also a short film directed by Will Robson Scott. So this is like it's not an official King Krule album, but it is definitely an album that this guy made. So that's why we're talking about it. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hell yes. This is A New Place to Drown. Well, we got the little trip hop drums. Yeah.
I see on Wikipedia this is labeled as post dubstep, which
What the fuck is that, dude?
I don't know. Trip hop works for me. This is in the trip hop glitch vaporwave. Vaporwave is as new as I'm going to.
Yeah, because trip hop this feels a little modern for trip hop, but I guess it would count anyway.
There's elements of it.
Already very different than the debut.
And I thought, hey, is he going to be one of those artists where like every album's different? That'd be cool, because if there's a stinker, it's just like on to the next one. But
well, he settles into something else after this.
Yeah.
This is definitely an outlier for sure. But this, like the weird, it doesn't sound like Injury Reserve, but the type of beats and the strangeness of it and the kind of offness of it reminded me of Injury Reserve.
I don't know if Homeboy was listening to Flying Lotus, but it is very, very much in that like Flying Lotus. I'm there was like a collection of DJs in LA. They would put on Low End Theory and like all those DJs. Apologize to all the rest. I'm fucking brain and spacing out. But yeah, very much in that like Low End Theory, like glitchy off like hip hop production. And because of that is my personal favorite.
Worst, least favorite. Easy. Yeah. Easy. I really like this is, I would say in this, for my takeaway of all this, in this discography, it was like awful for me. I was like, compared to the other albums, I hate this. I don't hate this album though. I think it's like it's actually another good one in the background. Another one that I liked more on second listen. Another one that's like, yeah, for what it is, it's kind of nice.
I like that it's an outlier. I think there's probably a reason it wasn't released as King Krule.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this nothing else like this again. He kind of will dip his toes a little bit into some things, but this is just so different and such an outlier. And it's weird that it feels nostalgic. I mean, I guess it's almost 10 years old, but like nostalgic to like late 90s, early 2000s, like PS2 era stuff. Like he was somehow able to like encapsulate that era. I don't know if that was his intention, but like there was definitely some parts on here where I'm like, man, I could picture this in like a Dreamcast game or something.
Yes, that's actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that. That makes perfect sense. He's the right age group. A little bit younger than me. And
I think he's like he's like a younger millennial. Like he's like almost at like the cutoff for being Gen Z.
He's like I think 3 years out from being
at
Gen
time
Z.
Time of recording, he's 30 years old.
Yeah. And that was, yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia in his music. You get different. I mean, when I think nostalgia, I think I'm talking fucking like 70s and 50s and other like all kinds of nostalgia. But this is a very specific kind where it's like, oh yeah, Dreamcast era, the 1 year where Sega had a console before it fucking it died.
But that was the last console, and it's like not really anything to do with the music, but it was just like, it was also very weird. Like you were allowed to be weird in pop culture, and I feel like that's not really the case anymore. Like there was a fucking mainstream Sega video game where you talked into a microphone to a fish that had the face of a Japanese man.
Oh yeah.
And it was narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
That's right.
And the
that
game
was real.
I
thought that was a fucking dream.
It is a fever dream. And the game's just called Seaman. They weren't.
I thought, dude, I know of that. I didn't think that was real. I never thought that was real.
I owned it. I played just like, it's so weird. It's so weird. I was
amazing.
Like 12, 13, something like that. Just like, I don't know what the fuck was going on in that game. I didn't know how to like evolve him into a frog, but like
that's amazing. That's
that vibe. That vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. We're never going to see that again, or it's probably going to be a long time before we see something like that again. Just because you see that with early media, you see that with music doesn't have a giant corporation behind it. You see,
it's kind of like the Wild West. There aren't rules.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and there's no huge investments. Yeah.
Sure. Make this fucking game.
Yeah.
Make this game.
And now, because we have such high standards now, everything costs a lot to develop, and that's a risk. And if you're being too weird or crazy, then now you're going to lose a bunch of money potentially. So we just get a bunch of boring, generic shit that, the same thing every year, essentially.
I'm all for like, I don't want people hurting or suffering, but like, I'm like really looking forward to like the bottom falling out on these like too big to fail like corporations, like just for creativity's sake.
I agree.
Banks, yeah. I mean, Yeah, like CEOs aren't safe. It's fucking beautiful.
Oh shit. But so there's a lot out of all the albums, this is the one where I had like just a good chunk where I'm like, I don't really like this that much at all. I can name a whole, I mean, honestly, the opener was a pretty bad opener. It bleeds right into Swell, which is more of a way better example of like what the album does, but I still don't really like it. I'm okay with it on second listen, but I don't, Arise Dear Brother is the first song that kind of perks me up a bit.
Yeah, I thought it was like pretty. I realize it's not like a proper follow up because it's not under the moniker, but like I just thought it was cool to abandon guitars because a lot of those songs past and I guess going forward, it's just like his voice and the guitar. I thought that was like kind of endearing to abandon this like huge part of his identity and just do these like get more spacey. And Arise Dear Brother like gets those like glitched out like Flying Lotus drum programming. And those lyrics too are like pretty heavy.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention it when introducing this. I mean, yeah, the guitars are gone. There's no guitar. There's some guitars on here, but basically might as well be gone. That's how this is full on leaning into that trip hop kind of thing, more on the hip hop style of things. We got Ami Ami, which is way sensual. It's basically fuck music for what this guy does.
Yeah, that is like the most like vaporwave, like that early 2000s nostalgia I'm talking about.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig the bass lines.
I think some of my favorite stuff on here is Sex with Nobody.
Really?
I don't know. There's just something about it that like speaks to me.
There, what do they call it when they have like the pitch shifted vocals? You told me that the proper hip hop terminology for it.
Oh, was it like the chopped and screwed one?
There we go.
It's like,
yeah. There we go. Yeah. I hate that shit. He's got all over that.
It was this weird. It was this weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
A lot of water sounding beep boops.
Yep. And then like Ice Drift for like the 5 Hotline Miami fan. Like that song could be on Hotline Miami.
That's right. So it has like a lot of lo-fi-ness. When I think of like lo-fi hip hop, and it has like that that aesthetic, that thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that. This is not lo-fi hip hop, but it has a thing that kind of
there are lo-fi elements.
Yeah, where it kind of ticks that little part of the brain where like it's not that genre exactly. It still feels, it has its own kind of identity, but it can qualify enough to kind of.
It's almost like a cousin of it, if you will. And then like another favorite, I like C-Liner MK1 is this rule so hard and is the most PS2 Dreamcast. Like that song is like, if I could only pick one song from this album, that's the one.
Really? Yeah. I like it. I really wasn't into the album when I first got to that point, but I liked it in context. And yeah, it takes a minute to get going, but it has that. I mean, we're just saying that PS2 era shit. What do you think of? Fast drum machines. Like that.
Fast drum machines.
That's exactly what definitely.
The movie Hackers.
I never saw it. Never saw Scanners either.
That's a different movie.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
sure they're very different.
Very different movie. Hackers, though. Hackers is, as we get further, it's always fun watching a movie that's set in the future and we've elapsed that future. Yeah. It's some good cheese these days.
Nice. Yeah, but after, so I do like Empty Vessels and how it sets itself up. Good samples. It basically fits the bill of what the album does well.
He's doing the most like technical singing on that one. I would say.
But after that, fucking Snoozeville. I'm out. Like the final 3 tracks, I'm completely tapped out.
I agree. Like Dull Boys, it's ironic that it's called that because it's pretty weak. And even though this is sad and chill music, there's just something adventurous about the rest of the album that you don't get with Dull Boys and Thames Water. So also with Thames Water, I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Thames Water.
it features King Krule, which I thought was a pretty funny little touch.
That's pretty funny.
Whatever the fuck that means. But that one, yeah. There's like moments of it that I'm okay with. There's like a bass line around 3 minutes in that I do like. But overall, just really don't care for it.
I think being the like longish track on a album with like short songs kind of hurts it a little.
Yeah.
The vocals are the most. It's probably featuring King Krule because the vocals are the most angsty compared to the other ones. But the angsty vocals don't save it for me.
Yeah, I like I said, I did like it more on second listen, but really, there's a lot on here that I don't like. I'm not a fan of like the overall choice of like leaning into that more hip hop style thing, and the stuff that lands I think is nice, and it's. I was like fucking drilling some shit while having this on in the background, and it fit, it was nice. It was like a nice thing to have on the background, but it's I think he does stuff a lot better than this. So
I think my fondness for this album grew after like seeing his whole career. I was like, okay, this is an outlier. There is nothing like this. This is more my speed. So hence it's personal.
So Alex's personal favorite, my worst and least favorite. Oh man, from here on out, you're just wrong, Alex. The next 3 albums fucking rule so hard.
I don't feel like I really have a dog in this fight, so I'll be wrong. I'll be wrong.
I'll make my case to you.
Yeah.
But
I probably won't argue with you. I'll be like, oh, that's fair. And
yeah, I mean, if it's not like enraging you, then
it did a little bit, but not to the point where I'm like, I'm not gonna argue over King Krule. Argue over, I don't know. It's just like it enraged me, but like I got to pick my battles now.
Fair enough. All right, but time to move on. And this one, technically the second King Krule album, but the third on our list, and the one that actually got some success. This one actually landed. People liked it. People gave him a little bit of a reputation. And this is, oh shit, I didn't pull it up. This is 2017's The Ooze.
And I don't understand, so I'm looking forward to having you explain to me.
I will explain, Alex.
Explain away. This is jazzy, dark Miles Davis ass shit right now.
Crazy intro. I already fucking love this intro though.
It's called Biscuit Town. Do you think he means like because they just call like cookies and yeah.
Cookie Town. Oh, this is fun as hell. It's like it has that trip hopness, but that main riff, that main hook is a perfect example of what we're going to get from now on, most in this album. It's warped and off and strange. It's a thing that could be played normally, but it's a little off.
I like this song more than a lot of other songs on here, but
I think this is a good opener. It's not like my favorite opener, but I think it's a good opener.
Your shallow waters on the deep sea.
And his vocals are back. They're still a little oafish, but they're way more contained.
Got my moons wrapped around my head.
Yeah.
Whilst you orbit with some stupid hoes.
Yeah, it's like smooth. Smooth, but with a very odd kind of...
You know what? And even though I'm not a fan of this stuff, I'm interested in how some of it's played live. But
oh yeah,
this y'all just leave me alone. This is my least favorite.
Best personal favorite. Yeah, this album is, I would hesitate to say brilliant, but I am almost gonna say brilliant. Like I think this is amazing. Yeah,
I think.
And there's another album that I almost gave personal favorite that we haven't discussed yet. I had to this was always this was gonna get best because of how much it kind of shocked me. And at the very end, I almost gave personal favorite to something else, but I felt myself just liking coming back to this one more. I've seen myself coming back to this one more. So it's still my favorite.
Some episodes, I'm ready to bring the smoke. I'm ready to bring the fire. Maybe because it's the holidays. Maybe because I'm just getting done being sick. But like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna rip this Band-Aid off and then move on. Like, to me personally, this is one of the most overrated albums we've covered.
Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're
Like,
crazy.
The Acclaim. I don't fucking understand.
You're wrong about the laws and you're wrong about the ooze, Alex.
I'm willing to accept that today. Maybe if we do like some countdown show or like we revise our list, maybe I'll come back with that fire. But today I'm willing to accept that at this point in my life. I'm just willing to accept that.
I think this is so well done. I think every song rules. I think it's too long, but even then, if you're listening to it in the mood that it's intended, it doesn't really matter as much. So this is such a weird one because you get that opener and it's this like groovy kind of, it has like, you said Miles Davis, like, yeah, you get little tastes of that. Like, all right. And then you get the Locomotive, which is just way creepy. It has these unsettling kind of vague riffs, and it's some of his darkest riffs. And
also at that point, I'm like, okay, this is like great production. Not that the other two were like awful, because we talk about live flipper albums on here sometimes.
Yeah,
but but yeah, like production wise, this is like the best he sounded.
Production wise, I think it's like a triumph in production. I would say this, if I'm going to make a bold claim, this is the dreamiest album I have ever heard. And I love me some dreamy shit. Cause so if you're just basing it off of that first track, you're not going to think this is that dreamy of an album. It's like falling asleep. This album is like falling asleep. You start out a little bit more alert, and as the songs go on, they start getting more and more drifty and floaty and kind of weird and warped until it's just, I feel like I'm dreaming listening to some of these songs.
I thought I was game for dreamy stuff. I thought I was game for loose stuff, and this pushed me too far. This was the finger in the butthole moment where I thought I was down.
You weren't down.
That's the line. I drew the line here,
and that is where Mike doesn't have the line. Put the finger in the butthole for Mike.
There you go.
Right up my alley. So the Locomotive is this kind of creepy dark thing, and then so I like the pacing up top because it starts out with this kind of chill thing, and then this creepy thing, and then Dumb Surfer comes on, and the intro is like, oh, this production is just unbelievably good. This is unbelievable production, and then the song itself comes on, and I thought like, that's a little goofy. And then I waited a few seconds, and I thought, no, this is, I love this song. I fucking love Dumb Surfer.
It is a little goofy because the vocal effects kind of feel like they're for like a fun, like Halloween song a little bit. And yeah, it's weird even for him. And then at some point it has like this like lo-fi guitar shredding, which I wasn't expecting.
It's so nice. At the very end, they even throw in these noir saxes. The noir saxes are going to be all over this thing, and it fucking feels great. Love Dumb Surfer. You got some Christmas bells and a waltz on Slush Puppy, which
that is appropriate title because it does feel like a drunken slush.
It's so odd. He does this thing, and he starts doing it here. He does it on other albums going forward, where it's like, it's smooth and spacey and kind of like chill, but it's ugly and weird and off. And he does that a lot, where that's why I say it feels because when you think dreamy, you think of like certain types of scales, you think of like twinkly, you think of certain things, but this feels like a dream where you recognize it, but it's off somehow, and it feels kind of hazy and like you're walking on sand. It's gonna be a completely random ass pull, like the book Finnegan's Wake from Joyce, like where it's a whole book of basically nonsense. But there is a story in there, and if you try to read it, it's like language in a dream, as if someone transcribed a dream onto paper. It's like you recognize it as language, you recognize it as music, but it's just off.
Going back to being simpletons and random pulls. Speaking a slush puppy. Did you watch The Penguin?
No, I've been meaning to.
You gotta mix the flavors, kid. You gotta mix the flavors.
I imagine that's a reference to Penguin.
Yeah, they're like drinking slush puppies, and he's
I didn't realize that was a real ass fucking drink.
yeah.
What's
you
it made
never
of?
saw. They're like ices a little bit.
Sounds nice.
You never like saw them at like the malls, or I didn't know they had them in the UK. I don't even know if this is a reference to the drinks. Again, I guess it's a millennial. Yeah, they're not as prominent as they used to be. Like they used to have like stronger like brand recognition.
Right. I'm thinking of 7-Eleven.
Yes,
those are Slurpees. Those are Slurpees, right?
It's a frozen
slushy
dessert
drink. Yeah.
Yes, that's all you need to know.
They had to have been like the most sugar a human can ingest in one sitting in ever. They seem like fucking cocaine.
Probably. I remember them being good. I haven't seen them in a while. I would have thought they went out of business if it wasn't for Colin Farrell putting them down on the Penguin.
Yeah. Yeah. Slushy Slurpees. They made like Mountain Dew look like fucking Ovaltine. It's like intense, like neon colored intensified sugar. It's also part ice. What a weird fucking drink.
Great drink.
Great drink.
Mix. The Penguin's right. You mix the Coke and the cherry, delicious.
So,
got a cherry Coke flavor.
God damn it. So part of where this album gets its name is like he kind of he made it so that like a lot of the songs kind of bleed and ooze together, and it's all kind of one giant piece. But when you listen to it, it's not really that. The songs flow into each other pretty well, but there are ends. It's not like every song bleeds into the to the beginning of the intro to the next song. There are definite ends where the song ends clearly, and there's a moment of silence to the next one. So it's not quite as blendy and oozy as like it might. It's trying to like seem, I guess, but it all feels like it's all part of one whole. Like there's so many songs in here. It's hard to like isolate certain stuff, but like even the transition tracks I find to be extremely effective. Like Bermondsey Bosom left, and then the other one is right. The production it's tracks like that. Like fuck, man. There's just so many different decisions that were made on the right version. There's these spoken word vocals that sound like fucking Nick Cave. And I think, is that his brother on there? That might be his brother on there. I forget. But yeah, it's Adam Marshall. If Adam Marshall's his brother, then that's his brother. And yeah, it's like, it has these noir saxes with these kind of Asian sounding notes. It's like playing Asian pentatonic notes, but not with an Asian sounding instrument. It's this weird collage of ideas. It ends up feeling very nice.
So there is that like Bosom Left interlude, but I do feel like Logos like continues that like drunken slush feel.
Yeah.
I do like what the sax is bringing on that song, and then Subliminary. It gets
sublinary, something like that.
It's like heavy noir there, which you alluded to.
Yeah.
And then like I think like Lonely Blue just like broke me. Like it's like it's depressing as fuck.
I didn't get depressing from it, but one thing I did note about Lonely Blue, I could see why it broke you, because now that I'm looking at my notes, I wrote it's almost frustratingly slow and loose. Like that
Again, I thought I was down for slow and loose.
It's so slow and so loose.
The worst, spoiler alert, it somehow gets slower and looser the more he goes on.
Yeah, he does. Hell yeah, brother. So Logos, that's where it has like the Muzak, the elevator music, bossa nova kind of thing, where it feels nostalgic, but it's like someone dreaming of something in the past. It's like someone dreaming of a fucking 1950s rendition of the future, like the Jetsons. You're dreaming of the Jetsons or something like that, where it has all these weird different eras mixed into one, and it's produced so fucking chillingly that it feels like you're stuck in a dream outside of time. I think the production is really moving.
You're watching Hackers in 2024.
That's
A
what it
movie
is. You're
made-
watching Hackers in 2024.
A movie made in the 90s about movies or being in the 2020. Yeah, so
Cadet Limbo, despite thinking the vocals are pretty hilarious, I fucking love it. Really nice drum clicks when the drums come in, and then there's this final in the final chunk, this piano comes in and has such an unusual tone. I was quite taken by.
You know what that tone is, Mike? It's old-timey piano tone.
You gotta love some old timey piano tone, dude.
And we usually do.
I usually do.
Yeah.
I am 10 for 10 for every time we brought up piano. Emergency Blimp is the first time we get some like I think live drums.
Oh man. Yeah, you need that song. You need that to like pick up the energy. Well, I don't know why I'm saying that. But for me, I appreciated it.
It's
also was a cruel reminder. I miss him sounding drunk. He sounds drunk on that song, but like not so much on the other songs.
No, he's a little bit more buried other places, but that one is like the indie song, lively, big and fast, and there's so many wrong notes, but it still seems like it's right. It's so strange. And then when the bass comes in, it gets really big and heavy, and it feels it's dirty and noisy. One of his noisiest things, ever. But goddamn, there's so many songs to talk about on here, but they're all they all do something that I end up like. This is not a pick out your song and I like this song kind of album. I mean, I could pick out songs that I do like. I mean, the title track I think is really fucking great, and stuff like Half Man, Half Shark is like really gallopy and it's kind of goofy, but it's the danciness of it actually works, and it's this kind of song where if someone didn't take as many risks with the presentation, I would think it's a shitty, boring, dumb song, but everything about it's like so many decisions were made, so many production choices, so many little quirks were thrown in the arrangement. So it's like, no, that's a fucking cool song.
I need King Krule's Half Man, Half Shark to fight Kool Keith's Half Shark Alligator, Half Man.
There's way too many K's and overlapping types of names.
So many K's. Also, with Kool Keith, it's important to note he's not 1/3 shark, 1/3 man, 1/3 alligator. It's a half shark, a shark alligator, and then half man.
Right. The shark alligator is the one half, and then a full half a man.
Sorry, we'll probably never do Kool Keith. His discography's a fucking mess.
Yeah,
and
it looks pretty messy. The closest we covered with Kool Keith was fucking Peeping Tom and the one song that he was on.
He'll rear his head in when you least expect him, and that's the beautiful part of Cool Kenneth.
Cool Kenneth, yes, Cool Kenneth. That's not even yeah, I mean, I can give summaries about every song, but I mean, Alex fucking doesn't like it, so it's hard to like they did this really cool thing on this thing that I appreciate.
The last three, like,
oh, you're crazy.
If I listen to this shit when driving, I would crash my car. I would space out too damn hard. Like, and sure, that's a mood, and you probably shouldn't listen to this while driving unless you're.
I think this is excellent driving music. I think if it's nighttime and it's raining, baby.
It could be, but I would crash my car, and then I at some point I was just like, someone needs to stop this man. It's like we've gone past Orange Cassidy chill, and it's like something else.
I think exactly. It is. That's why I like it. It goes so far past chill into I'm deep in REM sleep and things are getting weird. This whole like second half of album, it just gets like there's literal rain sounds in like almost every instrument on every song does some kind of warping where it feels woozy, like it feels like a fever dream. It feels like you're hallucinating a little bit. But it's still pretty. The compositions are still sound. They're still good written songs, but it's also just performed and produced in this way that's so fucked up. and it's not like disturbing, abrasive, fucked up. It's just really, really dreamy and kind of ethereal and psychedelic. The fact that it's this psychedelic and you don't like it blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind.
I can see like the psychedelic arguments and like in the like DNA of the music, but it almost like jumps the shark, and maybe my brain is just like it can't fucking handle it, because I remember like the first time I heard Neurosis, I couldn't handle it, and I was just like, I'm never gonna listen to that band again. They're one of my favorites. So like I could be having that moment, but like it was just like, I don't know. I had like the same. This album was like how I felt when I heard Beck's Sea Changes, which this album makes Sea Changes look like a fucking punk rock album, where it was just like so much hype and like I don't know, like chill music. I guess I'm this very specific. Like a Jeff Buckley will work for me. A Nick Drake will work for me. There's probably others I can't. A Beth Gibbons.
Yeah, but those, the thing is, all of those.
I realize that those are like all very different. Because I think the closest thing to compare this to is probably jazz music, because it's so like loose and like spacey that you couldn't like. There aren't hooks here, which isn't like a.
I think there are hooks. Like, they're just hidden beneath the craziness.
Yeah. So I like on paper, like I probably like if someone was describing this to me, I'd fucking check it out, and then I'd arrive to the conclusion I'd at now. And I don't know. Maybe like something will click in my brain in a few years. Maybe not.
I think because when I don't typically like, I don't mind chill music. For, it serves its purpose, but I always tend to like the stuff you're naming, like Beth Gibbons, Nick Drake, and Jeff Buckley. I love all of them, except those are like, for lack of a better term, regular ass musicians, like regular ass songs. Like they're good, they're really good at the thing that they did. But you listen to like even Beth Gibbons' recent album, which was like super well produced and really inventive. You're not getting like weird, unusual, disturbing strangeness out of it. Where like this, I think the appeal of this is just is more the weirdness than the chillness of it. That's why I ended up loving it, and it's why I couldn't help but give it both accolades. It's too weird.
It's a beloved album. I guess weird, chill music isn't something I've like broken down and like made sense in my brain. This by the fact that I can't really compare it to, like, I would argue like it has more in common with Miles Davis than the three artists I just like named.
I suppose so. Yeah. Because I think there's also a lot to be said about the themes that he's drawing from, like the musical themes. Like I have a weird nostalgic, just sort of fondness for that, like elevator music, old-timey weirdness. I don't even know what else to call it. Like there's certain like soft spot I have for that in general. So it's just doing that to like the fucking millionth psychedelic degree. But obviously it's not for everyone. Like, even though I'm putting up this big fight and because you don't like it and I like it, it's obviously not for everyone. I mean, fucking pick any track.
I mean, it's a beloved album, and if I was a real monster, I would have given it worse, but I'm not.
But it's beloved, but I wouldn't say. I would say start here, because really
it's where a lot of people started. It's like what made him. It is a like representation,
yes,
of what he does.
It's a representation. It is. If you don't like this, then you don't really like what he does, because there's something about this album, and it's like the reason that it got best, or that I had to give it best, is because there's another album that I like a lot that I want to give stuff, but there's something about this one. There's this thing that this one has. He's on this album more than any other. He's taking the wildest swings, like the craziest production swings. There is the most extremes in like, oh, we're gonna do this indie rock song. There's gonna be way more straightforward. This one's gonna have a real hook, a really catchy main riff. And then this one is just gonna be a fucking fever dream, and it's gonna be weird, and it's gonna make you feel a bunch of things, and you're not sure what's going on, and you're not sure how you feel, but it's kind of melancholy. It's kind of unusual. It's kind of scary. It does so many things. He goes so hard with this one that it gives this weird little, I don't know. It has this just character and personality that it's just a thing. It's a thing outside of vocabulary. It's a thing outside of, I can't place it. It's just this thing that this album has that it's not going to work for everyone, but you're going to remember that you heard it. It's a very it's that kind of album.
Or you'll fall asleep.
Listening to it. I recommend it. It's actually kind of relaxing. Alex's least favorite, my best and personal favorite. And we got more, baby. We got more. Oh boy. Oh boy. So are you ready?
I am ready.
All righty. This is 2020's Man Alive.
I was hoping this, and it is different from the last one.
It is, but it's
it is
more,
kind of more of the same.
It is like less of the same, more of the same, but less of it. Yeah, I like that fucking bass. That's a good bass.
I could see this like if he was like a basic dude, I could see this being like a Strokes song.
Yeah. When we say indie, that's kind of that's the type of indie we're talking about. But listen to this fucking production. Twinkling beep boops everywhere.
This is actually a good opener.
I like the other opener too, but it does feel like an opener. Yeah, perfect example of the choices. Like, you would have expected a big loud guitar at some point in this, but it's just, and what comes in? A clean guitar.
Oh, if William Corgan wrote this song,
William Corgan,
yeah.
And now we're doing tropical shit. Like, I like these choices. So I get someone not being into that because honestly, tropical stuff.
Really, that's not for everyone. But I think it's a good opener.
Especially not for me, because this is the worst.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think of the great albums, I think this is the least great of them, but I still think this is a pretty damn good album.
I'll take that one. That allows me to know I'll like get out of this alive.
Out of this man alive. So why this one?
I was broken on the last one. This started off a little bit more promising for me. I thought that was a good opener. I don't really care for Super Mache.
Oh, you don't like that one?
I don't, but like
I like that one a lot. It took a couple listens, but I the dark moments on there I think they roll.
I like the 1-2 punch of Stone again and Comet Face. It brings some energy, some nastiness that I personally like from him, but also I can see like your arguments for like how he's different and unique, and I can't like disagree with that. It's just like not for me, so who am I? And then the dream comes on and I'm like, no, you're not allowed to dream. You did enough dreaming. Dreaming.
More dreaming, baby. Bring on the dreams.
Too much dreaming.
Oh, I love it. It's so
Charles
pretty. It's so pretty.
Charles Bradley, No Time for Dreaming.
Great album. Great album. Fucking best album. No time for dreaming.
R.I.P. baby.
R.I.P.
And then it was, I don't know, it's just like maybe like the like first two albums like instilled this like false sense of like I thought he was going to be, I can't even say that it's not adventurous, but like someone who like changes it up more frequently. And like, on the Ooze, that's his thing. He does, these are different albums, but like that's the mode he's in now. Like fucking, I couldn't take it anymore. Like,
how do you deny stuff like Slinky? I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
I wish that song slunk out. How
You're
about
out
that?
of your fucking mind. Slinky is brilliant. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. So damn good. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
It also this maybe lyrically, because I didn't look them all up, and it also felt like the most depressing to me. Like just the way it sounded, it was like we've gone past chill, and even though there was like, I'm sure dark and heavy lyrics before, but like it wasn't like full on depression the way this album felt.
Funny how I didn't get depressed from any of them, and especially on this one.
Was like Alone Omen 3, I was like, the Brov's Prozac is not working.
You don't like the drums on that one?
No, I just like, it made me feel awful. And at the end of the day, music is supposed to make you feel things, and this album made me feel awful.
Fuck, all these albums made me feel so good. Oh shit, man.
It is and then like he has this thing where like I think like the end of his albums are the weakest, and like here that like the end of the album particularly, but I guess I could say the whole thing, it's like this lo-fi chill like Cronenberg monster where I don't know where something ends and begins, and like I have to like double check that it was like that way on the last album too, but I don't know, it just felt more like realized, I guess, where this one felt more like a mess.
See,
I'm sure I'm like, I used the term aimless, and even though I'm sure there's intention and purpose, but that's just me. That's just me.
So you're saying, no, you said, well, what was it? We just said right now, Cronenberg. What did you say?
Like a chill lo-fi Cronenberg monster.
You said chill lo-fi Cronenberg monster. I couldn't think of a better selling point. I couldn't think of a better way to be like, hey, check this out. It's a chill lo-fi Cronenberg monster.
He has a lot of things that sound cool on paper that don't go down well in execution for me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even a wrong description. I think it's the right description, and I like the way it came out. So, I mean, I do agree that the only song I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I did a lot of talking, but this to like put a cap on like my feelings about the album and how I feel about it. Hearing you say that makes me feel like validated that I'm like understanding it. It's just like it is literally a thing not for me.
That's how I was with like a lot of R&B and shit like that. Not counting D'Angelo because he transcends. All right, he just transcends. But sometimes it's just not for you. But I do. Yeah, the Please Complete Thee, the closer, that is like the only song I don't like on the album. I still enjoyed it more on second listen, but still would consider it kind of pretty weak. So this one, yeah. He's following like the template of the previous album, but it's just toned down. Like the swings aren't as wild anymore. The pacing is weaker, and I think a lot of these are great songs still. Like, I mean, Don't Let the Dragon Drag On. I think I fucking love it. Dreamy fuck music. That's what it is. Weird dreamy fuck music. And Theme for Cross, which like these awesome, pretty saxes with these warped pianos that feel great. So the thing is, it's all doing things that he did on the last record, just less so. There's it's more spacey, it's more minimal. It's not as weird. It's still pretty, but there aren't any like. It's not really as. It doesn't have that thing. Whatever the fuck the ooze had, it's not as. It's not as dreamy. It's not as unusual and warped. It's not.
It doesn't have the ooze.
Doesn't got the ooze.
The kids want the ooze.
Doesn't got the ooze, baby. And a couple of things that he started doing from this album and then the next one. Some of the drum machine choices really remind me of Suicide, like Airport and Antenatal. Yeah, Antenatal Airplane. That's like it's one of the instances where it's like, oh yeah, when you think of Suicide drum machines, you think of the cheapest, most hilarious toy sounding drum machines ever. And we get that a little bit. We get that on this one, and we get it more on the next one.
I'll try to keep these at a minimum, but do you watch Civil War yet?
No.
It's from Alex Garland, who's this heavy fucked up shit like Annihilation.
Oh,
and,
nice.
28 Days Later. And so, yeah, it's an Alex Garland flick. When they started playing Suicide in that movie, I knew I was in for a bad time in the best possible way.
They played which song? Was it the famous
I think Rocket Town. Was that a thing? Hold on. They played 2 Suicide songs. Dream Baby Dream.
Of course, Dream Baby Dream. That's the most famous one. That's the one that Bruce Springsteen covered.
And I Surrender.
Oh, wow.
So not 1, but 2 Suicides.
Not bad. Not bad. All right, I'll take it. Anytime you bring them into it, that's a bold choice, man.
Especially in a movie. It's not like a Marvel movie, but like a movie that got major. I was complaining about things not being weird anymore. That was pretty weird.
Thank God, man. But
anyways, that's my recent Suicide news. The band.
Yes. I dig it. If you liked the previous album, there is a lot to enjoy here. If you didn't like the previous album, obviously you're not going to like this one. That's basically that's
then
kind
you're
of
me.
Yeah.
Then you're me. Yeah.
So yeah, it is a step down. I find it to be like a pretty obvious step down, but there's still a lot on here that I like. It would still serve the same purpose of it's on in the background and you're in a very, very relaxed state, and maybe good driving nighttime music. It does fit the same kind of beats, but it just doesn't do it as memorably and it doesn't do it as weirdly. So I found it to be like a little bit let down listening to it directly after the ooze, but going back later on in a different order, listening to albums in different orders, I was able to appreciate it a lot more.
Fair enough. I send my my measly 2 cents.
Don't diminish your opinions, Alex. You have your feelings.
I love that opinions are called 2 cents though. Like what a an ultimate way to diminish. Like they're called your 2 cents.
Honestly, like 2 cents is being generous, given how many people are on the world.
How many people can share their opinions? I think they are worth about 2 cents now.
Jesus, man. With inflation, that's about a 0.3 cents.
Less.
Yeah. But Alex's worst. And I think it's fine. If you like the guy, if you like King Krule, then you'll be fine with this album. I think it's strong. Not as strong as the previous. And spoiler alert, I don't think it's as strong as the one after this. So are you ready for the next and final?
I'm so ready.
Hell yes. There we go. This is 2023's Space Heavy. And this is my favorite opener of this guy.
This song is one I came to the conclusion I just don't have the patience.
Oh man, it's such a good opener. Also on Apple Music, how sometimes the album art is animated. the animation for this album is the best I've seen in Apple Music.
I'm gonna check out the animated.
It's super cool. It's doing a bunch of things that are completely just not even on the cover.
She said it seems like these days merge as one.
Great progressions, unusual progressions, unexpected progressions,
Who I tried to change,
but very mellow and loose as he does.
But you called it a day, and now it's through. But don't throw it away.
Yeah, this is really honestly not gonna. I'm not even that bothered that you're not into this. I find the writing to be so well done. Just on paper, the actual construction of this, the arrangements, the choices, the progressions. Like this riff is fucking gorgeous.
And again, I'm not in the fighting mood over King Krule. I gotta pick my battles, and it's not King Krule.
Oh, I love this song.
Onto empty chair. It's been holding the weight of the
So yeah, it takes a good while for for things to pick up.
But I do love that
Even
opener.
that's being generous.
Yeah. I love that
Would
opener.
this have made your
Huh?
Would this have made your list last year?
I was thinking about that. I don't know. Because that last year was such a jam-packed list. That was a competitive list. I don't think it would have.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
like this album a lot. This was almost my personal favorite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it does fare a little better.
Yeah, it's another, it's again following the same template as the Ooze, except this time, I think the songwriting is just way stronger across the board, way more, just memorable hooks throughout.
Mhm.
It has really good pacing up top. It doesn't, the pacing isn't perfect, like in the middle chunk, so good, but it's mostly because like the song feel is just too many slow mellow things in a row, and that just drags things down. Even if I do like the songs, but stuff like Pink Shell, I mean that fucking bass line rules.
I don't know. I like when he's snarly. I like, not that it's aggro, but I like when it's a little more upbeat. I'll take a Pink Shell any day.
That is the only instance I can ever think of where I could call something dream garage rock.
Yeah, there's like almost this goth feel to it without going goth, but
We also got some more Suicide Drum Machines on Seaforth, all along with lots of tropical, easy listening kind of stuff. It's nice. It's a little bit. So I think that this album does that the previous one didn't do, and the Ooze definitely didn't do. The rhythms are way more tangible. Everything is it's loose, but it's way less loose. This is a lot more tight and a lot more like awake, I guess, if we're going to keep with the dream kind of motif.
Lucid.
It's a little bit more. These are lucid dreams. Yeah, they feel way more held together. And there's some damn near normal ass songs here, like which is the one, Sea Girl, which has
Sea Girl.
Yeah.
Sea Girl, yeah. When in doubt, you can always throw a female vocalist on to kind of freshen up your music a little bit.
Female vocals.
It's the same music, but the female vocals will change it. Unless you're a female vocal band, then you're screwed. Because bringing in a dude it almost feels like a regression.
I disagree, but I can also agree depending on the instance that you bring up.
Like if Susie of the Banshees,
yeah,
or
I
like
wouldn't be into that. Yeah, that's right.
Or like the Cocteau Twins or
if
like
Cocteau Twins had,
dude.
yeah, no, that would be
no
for sure a downgrade. But for Sea Girl, those vocals are done by a musician named Ravina, and she's doing some really nice fluttering style vocals stuff in there, which I found to be quite nice. And it's a simple song. It's really straightforward. It's bass and drums are playing at the same time. It's very straightforward, but it's melancholy. It's really nice. The bass line, you brought up fucking Dream Baby Dream from Suicide. It reminds you of Dream Baby Dream by Suicide.
There you go. There you go. Was not expecting to talk about Suicide, but I guess it makes sense.
Sure does. What else do I fucking love on here? I mean, I like a lot of stuff on here. Was it that is my life, that is yours? I'm fine with that one. It's I was a little bit like, all right, I don't like, no, it's even more mellow. It's kind of like sticking with the mood of C4 a little too much. And then halfway through it comes in with this wild sax, drums come in. It just turns the whole thing around. It brings a way more life to it.
I agree with that statement. That is similar to what I felt. The sax just brings like new life into it.
Dude, this sax man, every time he comes in, he does something I like.
Yeah, man. I think we discovered we were goth boys.
Elderly goth
think,
boys.
Yeah, I think we're figuring out we're sax guys.
Sax guys too.
You can definitely do it wrong, as we've documented, but there have been instances where we're just like, that really changes the whole song and makes it better in a lot of instances.
Does. Empty Stomach Space Cadet has a drum machine, but it sounds like a post-punk beat.
Also, that was this like, at first I was like, I don't want anything to do with Cadets. Is this like a sequel to your other Cadet songs?
Yeah.
But it is just an extension of Tortoise of Independency.
Yeah. Because that one is a little bit very, very mellow, and it just kind of bleeds and flows really nicely into Space Cadet. I don't know how you cannot have a problem with Flimsy. There's no way you have a problem with Flimsy.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't stick with me. We're
putting it on now, baby,
because it's like, so I didn't love Tortoise, but I thought it got like interesting at a little bit more interesting in the like Space Cadet section, and then like Hamburger Phobia is like the second best song on the album.
I don't think it's the second best, but I think it's very good.
So I think in the sea of those two things, Flimsy, I was just like, but yeah, put it on. Maybe you can convince me.
It's one of the most gorgeous things the dude has ever done. This is Flimsy.
Okay.
It's a transition track. It's only a minute long, but it goes so hard.
That's probably another I was like, it was over.
In execution, in mood, in these strings, baby.
Sure, for an interlude, but
I want this as a whole fucking song. You can't listen to Godspeed and say you don't like this.
I was just gonna say that I could just listen to Godspeed though.
But this is also good. Why discredit something that's also amazing, Alex?
Because it's a minute
exactly.
Attached to an album with things I don't care for.
Attached to two completely different songs that it's sandwiched in between, which I think is very nice pacing.
Yeah.
Also, another strange ass song is fucking From the Swamp. Ugly as shit, but somehow fun. I find it to be very fun, very snappy 4/4 drums in there.
Well, so yeah, I'm going to guess 4/4 is probably not too frequent.
It could be. It's just hard to tell.
It's hard to tell, yeah.
What else? I mean, I like every song on here quite a bit. I find the tail end of this album to be a lot stronger than most his albums, because the strings and soundscapes on When Vanishing are just fucking great. The sax sound is wonderful as ever. It's one of my favorite, like out of all the whole discography, I think it's one of the better drive at night kind of songs. The bass and drums on If Only It Was Warmth I find to be very soothing. It's like, it has a little bit of indie flavoring, but it's really nicely written. And then easily, without a doubt, my favorite closer in the entire discography, Wednesday Overcast. It fucking rules. That song is fucking awesome. I love Wednesday Overcast so much.
Wednesday Overcast, I was like, Jay Dilla is looking down on this man's career and it's like, I want to know like what Jay Dilla would do in like reaction to this like ultra loose dream. Like it's not for, it's crazy. It's not for me.
I think it's fucking so good. There's like this, oh man, the bass tone alone, it's so deep and powerful with a surf rock pluck to it. It's such a, it's, again, most of these albums are so well produced, but it's just the little choices in tone like that, I think are really nice. And then the strings on this album are fucking king. Like that's one of the reasons I think this is one of his best is the implementation of strings is so tasteful.
It does make it stand out amongst the last or his most recent three.
Yeah. Like overall, I'd say it's like, it's definitely similar in style to the previous album, but executed infinitely better. The songs are a little bit simpler and more accessible, but the dreaminess is not quite as warped and weird. It's a little bit more pretty and angelic. But the songwriting, I think, is just wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. I fucking love it. I think it's great. It has a wonderful little relaxing personality to it. I think it's far easier on people probably than even the Ooze, even though that is still the ideal starting point. Yeah, this is an easy album. I find it to be easy and fucking. I like it. Alex doesn't like it. Doesn't like the band so much, but I think you should give it a shot at least.
I mean, he has a career and people. The kids seem to like it.
Yeah, that's I guess so. Yeah, how does he even? I mean, is he big in the States? I have no idea. I mean, I'm not really.
I don't know what kind of venues this man plays. Let's see. He plays the Palladium. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. 2
nights in a row.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
That means he could probably do a bigger venue if he did 2 nights.
Yeah.
He could have done 1 night at a bigger venue. I don't know. I've seen 9 Inch Nails at the Palladium, so I think
he's doing good enough. He's doing good enough.
That is the Palladium. You're doing good enough.
Yeah, for sure. You don't go. You're fine. You're all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Let's do a little recap, Alex.
Leave me alone, King Krule fans. I want no part. I want no part of your shit. This is how I feel. This is what my podcast brings me to do. I'll leave you guys alone. Just leave me alone.
You stay on your side of the street, I'll stay on mine.
Exactly. That's all I'm asking for here. Because I know these are wild picks, but whatever. Best 6 feet beneath the moon. The most Cockney. That's why.
Yeah.
Personal favorite. A New Place to Drown. Give me all the weird trip hop early 2000 shit. Least favorite, The Ooze. I was bored to tears. And then worst is Man Alive. I was somehow even more bored. We've transcended chill into even gone past boring into something else entirely unique. But who knows? Maybe 2 years from now, I'll be like, I was crazy. I was wrong. So
we'll see. For me, A New Place to Drown, worst least favorite. It's just a whole different thing that just didn't do much for me. And it's not even under the King Krule's name. So I figured that's probably why he did something so different anyway. And best personal favorite, The Ooze. I think it's worthy of the hype and very, very unique and very ingenious in many ways. And it makes me feel things and I like it a lot. I also like the other albums too, the ones that Alex didn't like. But that's enough of that. So thank you so much for listening and watching. Thank you, Anton, for supporting us for so long and being a nice, cool supporter and all that. If you want to be like him, for fuck's sake, go to the Patreon. Patreon.com/everyalbumever. That's where you go. Bonus episodes. You get 2 bonus episodes a month. You get to see our schedules in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You get to join the Discord, be part of the community, chat with all the fucking music nerds like us. By the time this comes out, the year is pretty much over. But there you can suggest new albums that have come out that year, and then we'll do singles episodes on those. And if you're tier two, baby, then you can suggest a full episode, a full discography. And in addition to any album from anywhere, and we'll do bonus episodes on that on Patreon. So there's like a bunch of stuff you could do. It's very, very, very comprehensive. You can follow me on all social media at Pounder Monkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
And don't forget to follow our history guy, Tom Osman at Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music and his podcast, where he interviews a bunch of indie musicians, whatever comes next. And you could find links to all that in the description. My EP in the description. Listen to that. And I think that about does it. So I will take the burden of choosing last song. And that is very easy. I'm going Wednesday Overcast, baby. Closing it out strong.
There you go.
Hell
Talked it up.
So thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.